Mm.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, find mute.
Why is Chuck being shown?
Hello? Hello?
Hi. Who's saying hello?
Sorry, that was Alex Klein. I apologize. I thought it was telling me to talk, but it's just cat. I apologize.
No, I don't know why. I don't know why people are getting promoted to panelists. I'm not promoting them.
So I apologize. I'll be quiet.
Okay.
Maria, this is Chuck. You had asked me to. You can.
Yeah, I don't know why. You did, and Alex said, I don't know why.
Well, you can remove me if you want.
I'm going to remove you, Chuck.
Well, as long as John talks about my project, that's fine.
Yeah, we're going to remove you.
Okay.
What project is he talking about, Maria?
I think he's teasing about.
That's a 115 Boston Post.
Get off my meeting.
That's not going to happen, Chuck. Been through this 100 times. It's not going to happen tonight.
That on the agenda? I didn't see that on the agenda.
It's a section. I'm going to do that as a section 13, Kayla.
Okay.
I just haven't got to it. There's just so much going on right now that when I do it, then at some point I'll approve it and Chuck will be happy. And then I'll present it to the agency probably next month.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
not ready
so-
right now.
Oh, so I'll be happy so I can log off then now, John.
Yes.
Okay, Maria, you can remove me.
I'm doing it.
Okay, bye.
I got you, Chuck. Don't worry.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Well, it looks like we have we have a quorum. Even though I can't see John and Joe. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm promoting him to panelist. Joe, I promoted to panelist twice already. It's just not taking.
Okay.
Like I see them on the squares on my screen. But on my list, they're still showing as attendees. Okay, Alex, I think everybody should be here now.
Okay. There we go.
Okay.
All right. So why don't we open the meeting for the Inland Wetlands Agency Monday, September 13th, 2021 at looks like 7:04 p.m. And our first, our regular meeting agenda item, the first one is application 21-22, 33, 54, and 47 Heatherwood Drive. And this is for action. We saw this last month, so we will act on this tonight. And do we have someone, like we have someone for the applicant?
Yeah, this is Shelley Plude from SLR. We're the design consultant, and I was here on the last meeting, so happy to answer any questions. If you want me to run through anything again, prepared to do that.
Okay, so hopefully everyone can remember from last time we asked Shelley a number of questions. This is a bridge replacement up over Heatherwood, and it's replacing the old structures, and it's improving fish passage and minimizing, as I recall, minimizing riprap and making it not as rip-rappy as past projects have been. Are there any other questions that people want to ask before we act on this? No?
No.
We are questionless. Oh, are you Lee? You're muted.
I know better than that. I thought Shelley did an excellent job last meeting, laying out the project and everything about it. Joe and Dave were not at the meeting. I don't know whether they need to hear at least a little bit about it. Or do you know enough already, you guys?
I went out there today and spent about a half an hour wandering around there, so I know what's going to happen. But,
And I remember an application we had a few months ago way up near County Road, which is pretty similar to this. So it's not really foreign, but I guess the only question I would have is the scour pools. Are those getting eliminated and like graded out to improve the floodway?
No, we're not actually going to be physically doing anything to fill those in, but they will over time on their own.
Okay.
The reason why it's there today is because of those pipes that are constricting the flow and accelerating that through the structure. Going with the larger single span that we're proposing is going to eliminate that condition. So it's not going to fill in overnight, and we're not going to go ahead and do that as a part of this project, but the channel will naturalize on its own over time, and that will probably start to fill in.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? I asked questions last time, and I was satisfied with your answers. So I actually don't have any questions this time.
I move that we approve application. I move that we approve application 21-22 for the bridge replacement over Heatherwood Drive.
Is there a second? Okay, second. All right, any other discussion? Okay, sounds like we're all good. So all in favor of approving this application? Aye.
Aye.
My hand, aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Well, good luck with it. I hope it goes smoothly.
Yep, we should have a shovel in the ground in the spring.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was quick. Our next application is for receipt. It's application 21-25, 66 Wildcat Springs Road. It's for a regulated activity permit to put in an in-ground pool and a pool house with a patio and fence. And do we have someone for the applicant?
Hi, good evening.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Fine. So typically, and I don't know if someone can share the screen with the site plan, but typically we have people kind of talk through, since you are in a wetland area and proposing, regulated activity, kind of talk through the project. And what we are interested in most is how your project may impact wetlands, the wetlands nearby. So
Sure.
you can talk about, different parts, and then we can ask you questions.
Sure. So we're using Aquatic Pool Company to install the the pool and the patio, and Atlas will be installing the shed / pool house if it is approved. We did have Rich Sandusky, who's a soil scientist, come out, and he looked at the property and marked with flags where the wetlands were, which is further back. It's nowhere that's going to be dug for the pool. So the plan was to put in a 20 by 40 rectangular swimming pool with a patio surrounding it, and then a storage type pool house on the end, just for some shade and storage right now. We spoke with the pool company and their team, and they said that they would utilize a silt fence, and also any of the dirt that's dug out for the pool would be used to fill in back around the pool again, and then any additional dirt could be trucked away so it doesn't disturb any of the wetlands.
What is the slope between the pool, or at least the front of fence, to the wetlands boundary? Is that flat? I don't see any elevation lines on here, unless can't see them.
The slope of how
Well, is it flat or is it sloped and
it's
very steeply, or?
It's flat, and then it does slope down a little bit into the wooded area. There's trees in the back, and then past the trees, it slopes down.
And those trees they're not represented on here, are they? No.
It's just like, well, I don't even know if it's like a wooded trees and kind of like brush, kind of weeds back there. When the builds are built, they just cleared a certain area, and then the rest was left. The house is only 4 years old, so it's relatively a new build.
Well, is that line kind of squiggly line that goes, for that line, is that a tree supposed to depict the tree line?
Yeah, it's trees, and it's also just a lot of, honestly, weeds, but there are trees in there. Yeah.
And it's lawn now, I guess, right? Is that what
Yeah, there's lawn.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right.
And it looks like if these lines are right, you're 65 feet. I mean, is the fence 65 feet from the wetland? Is that what that's supposed to represent?
Yeah, and the pool edge to the wetlands would be around 70 feet.
Well, I think that's a property line, isn't it? Because if you look up above there, the wetlands line comes in, it seems to cross and come in quite drastically. So I think the closest area is probably closer to 45 or 50 feet. I don't know, it's just a guess, but.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree, Dave. It's hard to tell. And there's another, there's another plan or drawing. But it sounds like there is some slope from the pool down to the wooded area.
Yeah, a little bit.
And the pool company is going to put, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's the squiggly line.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Right. And this is Rich Snarsky. Yeah. So this is the wetland line, the squiggly line.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
But I guess on this map, we don't have the
pool's not there.
pool's not there.
Let me see if I can get fancy and show and split a screen.
Bold.
No, I'm taking a bold move here.
Well, this is only for receipt only.
This is only for receipt, right? And
Right.
yeah.
So maybe when you come up back next time, you can be a little more definitive on the distance from the wetland and maybe a picture of the backyard to show us the slope or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think maybe part of the concern is, it's unclear how much slope there is and how exactly how far you are from the wetland, probably 50. I mean, it's hard to tell. And if, putting in a pool, it's a reasonable amount of activity. And so definitely the silt and erosion control measures, sedimentation control measures would be appropriate. And it sounds like the company is planning to do that. Do you have a timeline that you're thinking for this?
It wouldn't be started until December or possibly early spring.
Okay.
They tentatively said they could start if it was approved December 4th. But obviously that's dependent on weather and all those things. So if not, then it would be early spring.
Okay. Okay. Well, that would be some of the questions I have. It's not clear exactly how far it is from the wetland. It would be nice to see on a plan where the erosion control measures are going to be, or maybe it's in this fine print. The slope, I don't know. Does anybody else have other questions for the applicant to think about before next month?
Well, this is just the receipt, so,
Right.
When you come in next month and have that information, it doesn't look like a real drastic plan or a project.
Dave's suggesting a few pictures would be nice if you could.
Just something to indicate what it looks like, that's all.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, I'm looking at it on Google Earth and I can see that, at least the most recent picture from space is, you've got a pretty cleared out backyard that goes right into woods, and presumably there's a wetland tucked in back there. So.
Yeah. And we do have Rich Snarsky did flag the wetlands line. So do you want me to just measure from the wetlands line then to the edge of where the pool would be?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Okay.
picked it on the sketch, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be excellent.
And
Okay.
maybe a picture or something of the backyard.
Okay.
I just have one thing I could add, that you probably want to get the distance to the pool house also.
Okay.
So, from the edge, from the water, from the edge of the pool to the flag, and then from the closest part of the pool house to the closest flag.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well,
Right, I think based on those requirements, if they bring them in next week, we should accept it. I make a motion, we accept it and put it on the agenda for next month.
I'll second.
great. All right. So,
I'd just like to remind the agents to do that. The next meeting is only in 3 weeks, not 4 weeks.
okay.
So she'll be able to get it back here in 3 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah, busy. All right.
All right, thank you.
Great, thanks. Any discussion on our motion? Okay, all in favor of accepting for next month, say aye, raise your hand.
Bye.
Great. Okay, so we'll see that next month in 3 weeks, which is a little shocking. Thank you, Tom. Stop.
Tell me about it.
That's kind of horrifying, but okay.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. Okay, so that moves us into 645 Green Hill Road. And that would be, I assume, Mr. Klein would be joining us for this conversation.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Tom, are you here from Madison Earth Care?
No.
Hold on, Tom. Craig?
Tom Craig should be also here just as to be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Guys, sorry, for some reason the video wasn't turning on right away.
Hold on.
Is my video not on too, or is it on?
Alex is off as well.
Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can get it on. I'm not sure what is happening here.
I keep losing people.
For some reason, I can see you, Tom. But, I don't know why I am unable to show my video. I Zoom all day, so this shouldn't be an issue. Should I just go without the video? Would that be all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
All righty. So, there you are, Alex.
Tom, let me just kick off for a moment.
Okay.
And then I'll turn it over to you. I had a project to put in a pool that started, I think last year, and it was going well. I started with Madison Earth Care and I started with aquatic pool and spa, actually similar to the person that just spoke before me. Worked with Tom over there, and then had Madison Earth Care come in to help with landscaping, and we sat with the agency for approvals, and really everything had been going very well. I then hired Tree Tactics, who is a licensed arborist, Dan Severino, to do some work. I live on probably one of the more main roads, and so I apologize to the agency and really to the town. I try to be a good citizen. I volunteer. I do a lot of different things, and I'm really sorry. I screwed up and took down trees that should not have come down. And I think there were trees inside of the wetlands. I had hired the arborist and showed him the wetlands line, and he said it was fine. And I said, go ahead. And then in doing so, I created a nightmare for myself. And so I have, back to talking with Tom and the folks over at Madison Earth Care to try and help me right my wrong here. And so I'm hoping today to get some guidance as to how to make right what I have made wrong. And so, Tom, you've but everybody's welcome to come to my property and take a look at everything if you haven't already been, open invitation. If there's suggestions or stuff, please come over. But Tom, why don't you go ahead and share what we've tried to come up with?
Perfect. So what we were obviously looking to do is remediate the wetlands. So one of the main things I noticed out there was Alex had about 8 larger trees that were cut down, larger deciduous trees within that wetland area. So obviously our goal is to replant deciduous trees, something that will refill out that canopy in years to come. I was thinking something more along like a maple or a swamp white oak, something that would be good to handling those conditions and being in the wetlands. So that would be the main goal. So first off, I think our plan was there's a bunch of cut down logs and material from the trunks of those trees. So we thought you guys would definitely want us to take those out and get that debris out of the wetland area. But then moving forward, all the stumps from those trees, we were planning on keeping in that space so we're not digging them up, affecting the wetland more. And so from within there, another part of that project, which I guess wouldn't necessarily be part, but Alex was looking to do some extra work. We were possibly thinking about planting some arborvitae, not within the wetland, but in front of that, just so he can block off the view from where everything was cut down to kind of finish off his project a little bit more and make it a little cleaner. But from the most part, we still have the winterberry that we discussed originally with you guys, planting that. We're still waiting for the fence company to come in and put the fence in for Alex for code 2. But mostly, I think it would be a good point to just kind of discuss what is expected, what needs to be done to be fixed up too. But ultimately our main goal would be to do that and then finish the work that we did not finish from previous work. We did a lot of the regrading that we had approved and are now just waiting to put down the topsoil on that property and seed that. So we were kind of just waiting for everything to get the approval before doing any of that other work. But that would be what our scope would be within that aspect, seeding, applying down that new, the remainder of the topsoil that we came upon earlier, and to really plant in the trees needed to fill back in that wetland line. So I was looking at some trees, hopefully going with something like an 1.5 inch caliper tree, but something that will grow to fill in that canopy line.
And I'm working with the tree person that did it. I mean, he cut down, I wasn't even there. I mean, I came back. I mean, I think John Dolores saw my reaction. I mean, he cut, I don't understand why he cut what he cut. He cut stuff I didn't ask him to cut. And I mean, I don't, you know, it's a real problem and it looks awful. And it's just bad all around. And I took a good project and have kind of ruined it. And so my hope is to be able to make it right. Obviously, I'm way out of bounds. And so, you know, tell me how I can begin to, you know, get back to center lane here.
Well, thank you for coming and explaining. So this question, I guess, is a quick question for Tom. How long does it take? Those diameter trees are big.
1 inch to 1.5 inch caliper, typically industry standard from what I've seen, it would be close to 10 foot tall, 10 to 12 foot tall going in the ground. It would definitely take years to fill in that space. I don't think there would be one plant versus another that would necessarily grow quicker in the space, especially being a deciduous tree. Most of them are slower growing, unlike your evergreens, which aren't going to fill back in the canopy line. So,
right. So I've seen it from the road and I probably should get in there and look, but what species were cut? Were they maple? Were they oak? I mean, do you know?
From what's in the area, I wasn't able to see any of the branches and any of the leaves on that stuff, but most of what I was seeing were maples and oaks. There were a couple of black oaks in that space, and there were some sugar maples as well in that area.
But you would be thinking of putting in red maple, probably?
Red maple, sugar maple, swamp white oak, I mean, black oak, I mean, all of them I think could work really good in this space.
Okay.
And are pretty regularly native from what I see around in this area. So I think something like that can definitely work out well.
And I'm
If
sorry.
you're looking for stuff that really likes water, I mean, like weeping willows are definitely one. They grow very quick, but have more of that weeping crown and habit, not more full crown and canopy.
Yeah, it's completely different than what's there. I mean, there's also black gum, I think, it's another one that is around.
That might be there too, yep.
So, and I'm sorry, I missed what you said about the stumps.
So the stumps, I was under the assumption that we would want to be keeping those there, just because if we're leaving them, we're going to have to either dig out that whole root system, and it's just affecting the wetland, in my opinion, more. So we were thinking that it would probably be best to leave the stumps of what's there, and then plant within that space to refill the area. That's where our concept of possibly bringing in some arborvitae in front of the wetland line to just kind of block off that space as a evergreen hedge, just to make that a little more attractive for Alex, that he's not looking into that fairly bare space, and allow that to just kind of fill in and be natural, more or less be like a no man's land where he's not going to go, not going to touch, and everything that he'll do will be in front of those arborvitae line.
Okay, but everything that he'll do as far as recreationally, but the remediation part would be behind that.
Correct. Yep. So the arborvitae would be a totally different aspect, not in the remediation. We just thought we would bring it to your attention of that's what we were planning, just so everybody's in the loop.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks awful.
I
looks-
have no doubt.
It looks awful.
I mean, if
Yes.
I have availability to, or you guys, I would be glad to meet with everybody at the property too, if that needed to happen, or just to give everybody else a sense. Like Alex said, we're not trying to hide anything. We're willing to let everybody come and see it and want to just resolve the issue. And
I don't need to be here. You guys can just stop by.
Yeah. Well, I think and I'll let other people chime in a sec, but I think, what we've seen in the past when this has happened, because it happens to varying degrees, remediation definitely is the way to go. Obviously, we can't regrow those giant trees quickly, but planting in however many inch and a half of, something appropriate and native. So red maple, sugar maple, black gum, swamp white oak, that's all great. But the other thing that's going to happen, right, and maybe you talked about this, is that space is open, and so a lot of invasive species are going to be able to come in. And is that where you were talking about serviceberry and maybe winterberry or some of these other wetland plantings?
Whatever we'll put. If there are plants, whatever I need to do to make it right. If there are plants that belong there, I'll put them there.
Well,
so the winterberry, we already kind of discussed with putting along the pool fence line that hasn't been put in yet, which we can do, but we can definitely bring in more winterberry, more shadblow, more smaller plants where they'll continue to fill out that space too. More or less your understory plantings of native plants that will come into that space. So, I mean, I do understand and agree with what you're saying with that space open and everything ripped up. It's just allowing for things to spread and invasives to come in. So definitely the fuller we can get that planted, the better. I would just want to kind of know what aspect we need to go. I mean, you could probably throw hundreds and hundreds of plants in there, but
yeah, and I don't
trying to resolve this honestly within a decent ballpark or like a range or price point. I know Alex has already spent a lot too, but we do want to make it right and do what needs to be done. So whether it's we need to get bigger size trees going in so they fill out the canopy more, or we bring in understory plantings, I think we're kind of open to what needs to happen and be done to the space.
Right. And I think that's great. I would say, we are not all, none of us maybe, are experts on doing actual wetland remediation. We can guide that. So I think all that sounds good. I would recommend, and maybe John DeLaura, you've recommended, but Rich Snarsky comes up a lot, but there are people who will put together wetland remediation plans that are appropriate for that space. Because once you get into how many, for me to say, or for any of us to say, well, you should put in 10 trees of this diameter and you should put in shadrow and serviceberry and whatever else, that's, okay, except that, we'd have to go, as you say, we should go out and look, but that's also, not our purview in a way. I mean, we're regulating that, but there are other people who are really good at putting together remediation plans. So I don't know, John DeLore, did you recommend Rich Snarsky at all, or do you have recommendations?
Well, I did recommend Rich, but there are others. Rich is pretty good. I mean, for just drawing up a plant list to remediate that and address the fact that the invasives will now have an opportunity. I'm very comfortable with Rich. He's done it when Bob Cook was here. I mean, Bob himself is pretty good at
Right.
actually doing that, and probably would. So, I mean, and he is an arborist. And he deals exclusively with wetlands. He's doing a lot. I'm meeting him tomorrow morning for a wetlands planting that he's going to do a plan for. So there's two right there that I would feel very comfortable with, and I think the agency would also.
Okay. And yes, and so I should, other members of the agency, I've said what I've said, so please, go ahead and, pipe up.
I think those are all, that's a really good suggestion. And I'm sorry I missed it. Tom, what's your relationship with Mr. Klein? Are you the contractor or?
I'm the landscape designer with Madison Earth Care.
Oh, you're the
And we've just done a
landscape-
lot of work with Alex. He was looking at having us do the labor for remediating the zone, so.
I see. Because I think from my perspective, having an actual plan done by somebody that we're comfortable with is an excellent idea, and one that I wholeheartedly would support.
I will reach out to Bob Klukta or Rich Nartsky this week and have a plan put together. And with your permission, try to propose it at the next meeting or maybe sooner, whatever works. And then maybe Tom, you and me can work together and take that plan and try to put together a finalized plan. Does that sound like a reasonable course of action?
That works perfectly for me.
Okay,
That works for me too. I
Uh,
don't know about the others.
Absolutely.
that sounds great.
So I had some computer issues and audio, so I missed the intro to the issue. Is this we approved the swimming pool and then things blew up after that?
So it was a two-part thing. I had an aquatic pool and spa, they had to have John gave me a section 13 or something on it. And then there were some landscape items that required approval from the wetlands that I approached Madison Earth Care. They said they couldn't do it without wetlands permission. And so I came and the wetlands gave me permission to do X amount of work. And then there was trees that actually he took down the wrong trees. But there were trees that I would like to have had brought down. I had a licensed arborist come to my property, showed him the wetland, and he said, that's no problem. I was like, all right, then go for it. Like, if it's not an issue. And then, 2 days later, John Delora came out to my property pretty upset and shut the operation down. And then since then, I've tried to do what I can to remediate. I didn't know. And candidly, the arborist did a terrible job, took down 6 trees, shouldn't have. So I'm in the process of dealing with him separately.
Were the trees you wanted down taken down?
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. And they were within the wetland line. They were within the 100-yard zone. And so those are down, but they shouldn't have been. And he should have told me no, and it shouldn't have happened. I mean, so the whole thing is a disaster. And costing me a fortune.
Okay.
Okay.
I live on a main road. I really wasn't trying to hide anything. And so I thought it was broad daylight. And so it's just stupid. It was a stupid thing. And now I want to make it right and try to move on with everything. And so I'll reach out to Bob Klukta or Rich Nartsky tagged my wetlands. It's actually very similar to the person before me. It was almost identical. Maybe he already knows my property a little bit, but I'll reach out to him because he's been here and see if he can generate a list, and I'll give that list to Tom, and then Tom, you and I can put together a plan to maybe come back in 3 weeks. Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Guys, I'm really sorry. I'm sure that you drove by my house thinking I'm a jerk. I'm sorry.
all the logs that are in there, what's the goal with those? Just to remove them from the property?
I can't even go in my backyard. I can't even look at it. Candidly, in my perfect world, and I don't understand not what I do. I work with kids. I'm a child care worker. And so I would remove all the logs and the debris. I would grind up the stumps. I would put back the canopy and I would clean up my backyard, put up a fence, plant grass, and go on with life would be what I would want. But I understand. Tom explained to me when he came to my house that grinding up the stumps disrupts the wetlands, and that makes sense to me. And so I just want to make it right.
Okay,
And so
I'll look forward to trying to see it tomorrow on my way home. But I think I would recommend zero activity until a plan is in.
I haven't done a thing since the moment my house. The only thing I did was because it was right after. I mean, the whole story is I also had a flood in my basement because the pool screwed up my drainage, which built a dam, which sent water into my basement, and so the silt fence, and so it's been a nightmare. And so it's a finished basement, and so I'm not the first owner. I bought the house, and so I had to take care of my basement and then figure out my drainage situation. And so the only thing I did was John asked me to put down grass seed to prevent the, I guess, silt or whatever from going into the wetlands. And so I did that. You'll see that there's some grass out there. And then I put up actually Madison Earth Care came and put up silt fence that day for me. And so otherwise, I've done nothing short of mow my lawn.
Okay.
Well, thank you for working towards remediation, and we will definitely be up for seeing, your proposal next month.
Okay, well, I'll get after it, and I'll. Should I send it ahead of time, or do I just bring it? What's the best way?
Yeah.
Ahead
John.
of time if possible.
Yeah, Alex.
I didn't hear.
Alex, if I may, you've got the beginning of an application to the agency. It's not complete until you were going to get some direction as you did this evening. So with those comments and suggestions, get that together and then let me know when you do have that, and then we'll add that to your application with the fee, and then you can present the application with everything that they're looking for at the next meeting on October 4th.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Does anybody remember what month the trees cutting was approved? The first time?
No, there was no tree cutting approved at my house ever.
Oh, okay. I thought
the arborist just operated totally out of lane. Told me it was this and that, and really, I said okay, and I said go for it.
Okay.
And so there, no, only permission I had was to do the landscaping and put the pool in.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
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 Thank you for your time tonight, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom and Alex.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Okay. So we'll look forward to that next month and seeing a remediation plan. And I actually I've seen it from the road, but I may actually go look at it in person. I think it would be worthwhile for us to do that if you have time.
Yep.
Okay, so now we have section 13s. So we have 21-20, 125 Hull Road, water softener filter, and a septic tank.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for the owner, but the health department failed the inspection. The house was for sale. The home inspector and our health department failed the system, so it had to be replaced. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the owner had a water softener installed, and you can no longer discharge the water softener into a septic tank. It's got to be into a dry well. So that's a health code regulation. So the only new excavation was for the dry well, which is very close to the sanitary system, as close as it can get by code. The tank was replaced, the septic tank was replaced, and the system, because of the new the new boxes, you know, for the leaching fields is much smaller, but it had to be excavated, you know, and Joe knows what I'm talking about, the soil, the approved soil for, or sand for the septic system had to be brought in. So that was taken away and the new soil or sand brought in for the septic leaching field. So, you know, unfortunately, there's a brook in the back and probably 90%, this is a house that was built in the early 70s, late 60s, when there were no regulations. Things were filled and, you know, it's horrible, but they did really the best they could, and they reinstalled it in the front. I mean, it had to be replaced. So I did do that as a section 13.
Okay, well, sounds like there wasn't a lot of options. And it sounds like, so if you replaced it, if it's in the front, that moved it away some from the wetland then? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it, I mean, I looked at the drawings. Does anybody else have any questions for John? Yeah. Okay. Well, that was a bummer for the owner, for sure.
Yes.
So the second one is 21-23, 3 Jonathan's Landing. And this is a 3-season room and rebuild existing deck.
Yeah. The closest, like it says, it's really the sunroom is taking the place of the existing deck, pretty much in the same, actually further away from the wetlands than the deck is. And the wetlands is mapped, and it's about 82 feet, closest part of the new construction, about 82 feet away from the wetlands. It's not a steep slope. They're going to put an E&S control in there, and they're not using heavy equipment to excavate for the footings. So I think it seemed pretty straightforward. It looked like it was not going to be an impact on the wetlands. I'll go down and inspect the E&S when it's up, and be sure that they're using the equipment they said they would use.
Yeah, okay.
I'll keep track of that.
That would be great. Sorry, Maria, I saw you had your hand up. Do you have a question, a comment, question? Or, right? Isn't her hand up? No.
Way it looks.
All right, but I guess she doesn't have a question. Okay, so are we okay with 3 Jonathan's Landing? Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, no.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't, well, so anybody have questions on the 3 Jonathan's Landing? Are we okay with?
I'm okay with them. I'm okay with them.
Okay. Both of these sound straightforward so far. Okay,
Yeah.
so the next one is 21-24, 26 Copperstone Lane. And then we have rebuild existing deck with open porch, 61 feet from the wetland boundary, right? And this is an existing deck that they want to keep in the same footprint, was my understanding of what was there. Just rebuild it.
Yeah, Rich, let's see, this is, regulated activity permitting existing deck and open porch from wetland body. Yeah, it was, so the wetlands was flagged by Rich, and they're, let's see, I think I have a note on here. Oh, 60, yeah, the closest point to Rich's flags, 61 feet from the wetland boundary flag, and they're using the diamond pier foundation, so there's no excavation at all.
That's great.
So it's pretty much non-invasive.
That's great.
Or disturbing. So
that's great. Yeah, and it sounds like it's in need of repair and replacement. So
yeah,
that's fine. It's there, and they're going to be minimal impact, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I like those that foundation system. It's really it's really what it's designed for, is to, in and around wetlands and the review areas, not to disturb the soil as best.
Right. No, it's great.
Good.
Okay, so we're happy with that, right? Everybody happy?
Everybody's happy.
Yay, okay. So that takes care of our applications for tonight, which takes us to the minutes. I'm pulling them up right now. So we have the minutes from August 2nd, which seems like a long time ago. And I have gone through them, probably not as well as I should, but I didn't see anything amiss.
I have one item,
Okay,
and that's the site visit. I wasn't on the site visit of Neck Road, and somehow I got included in the list of people that were.
I was going to bring that up. I didn't see you.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there.
You missed
I
those.
might have
cookies.
got in there because I drove by it, but I didn't go to the site.
yeah, no, you weren't there. Okay.
So I have something.
Okay.
So I think under 14-13 mod, Neck Road, Chairman Friedenberg stated that the agency received this last month. Okay, you're referring to application 14. Yeah, what are you referring to? What? I couldn't get what you were referring to as receiving last month. And then it said
received this application last
for
month.
the right of way. Okay.
Right. Right. It's and I guess I said that tonight as well. For our first application, it was just a reminder that we received it last month, and it's an action item tonight.
Okay. And then just for clarification, if you go 8 lines down, actually 7, it says Chairman Friedenberg stated that the proposed line is not that far away from the non-disturbance line, and she asked if it could be moved further south. You were asking if the right-of-way could be, were you asking if the right-of-way could be moved further south?
Yes.
Instead of their proposed location?
Right.
So I just wanted it clear that you meant right-of-way, not a line, which is further earlier in the sentence.
It was.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to know if they could move their proposal right further.
Yep. It didn't read correctly in that sentence, and that's all I have.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any other comments? So I guess we have that Lee wasn't on the sidewalk. I don't know if we, I mean, I don't know if we want to amend the minutes to clarify it or just have our discussion of the minutes clarify it. Maybe the latter.
I don't know what the process is.
Well, it's very cumbersome. So these minutes are posted, and then what we would then the process is that then we amend them, and that gets posted
as well.
Yeah, and so factual things should totally be clarified or cleared up. So you weren't on the sidewalk. Totally, we should make that clear that you weren't there.
But we can put that in the minutes of this meeting, though, is what you're saying. That works for me. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we never change meetings that are posted. It's just that bullets reflect clarifications on the next minutes. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that would be, I think, probably the biggest clarification that we make in addition to this conversation that is recorded that we are making. Are there any other clarifications to discuss? think. Okay, all right, well, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve last month's meeting minutes. And have this month's meeting minutes reflect any changes that need to be made.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a second? Okay, so per our conversation, Lee was not on the site walk. I think it's the biggest clarification we'd like to make for the minutes. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
nobody's opposed, that's great. All right, so remarks. I have been contacted by the Coastal Resilience Committee. A member, Walter Welsh, has contacted me. So if you, I think there's been some writing in the paper about their commission, and they are interested just informally in figuring out how they can where they might be of use. So they're a town committee. They're I think an advisor. I don't know their status, but it's an advisory committee that's been put together, and they're looking to be useful to the other boards. And so Walter was trying to sit in on our meeting tonight. I don't know if he made it or not. But they're just looking to figure out how they can help with education or support in wetlands with respect to the coast. Given, so I talked to him briefly on the phone previously and just said, our jurisdiction is generally inland waters, not as much coastal, but we have had applications with tidal wetlands. So Longshore comes up, Longshore Lane. Some of some other ones down by the water end up having some in the wetlands associated with these coastal wetlands. So, so I'm just putting it out there as, perhaps having a conversation or having them send us something, or thinking about how, they might be useful to us if they have information on coastal resiliency or whatever. So I don't know. What do you guys, any thoughts on that?
I know from my perspective, it'd be worthwhile if they wouldn't mind coming in, spending 10 minutes, basically telling us what they do, and get their suggestions on how they can interface with us. Not really knowing what their charge is, or I can kind of guess by their name, but it would be helpful if they kind of presented it to us.
Okay.
That'd be my suggestion.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. I think that would be good. I mean, I chatted with Walter briefly, but it would be good, 10 minutes or so to have them. So I can contact him and see if they can have a representative come to our next meeting, and really 10 or 15 minutes just to chat about what they do and how they may be able to, be supportive or provide education on what the, coastal resiliency. And yes, it would be good to find out their charge. I don't know. I knew it was a committee, but it'd be good to hear more.
That'd be great, okay. I think.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think it would be helpful. Those were all my remarks. So let's see, John, you're up.
The only thing I have, and I've been saying this, I don't know, it seems like, 6 or 7 months, but that 12 Strawberry. I was in contact with the attorney a couple of 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago. Rich went out, did flag the wetlands. There's no work being done, but there's no remediation being done. Also, there's nothing being done. My understanding is, talking to the attorney, that they're getting a survey. I'm not sure if it was Anderson or Stevens, but I can tell you they are really backed up. There's so much work right now that trying to get somebody out there to do anything is difficult. So he did assure me that they are working with that. He's going to call me tomorrow morning. So I'll get an update from the attorney, and I will just send the agency an email just to let you guys know, where that team is as far as being able to get an application together to present to the agency on the remediation of that site.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Yes, I see it all the time. And
I'm
no,
sorry.
they're not,
I'm so sorry.
no, it's okay. But they aren't, yeah, there hasn't been any other activity there,
Yeah.
so.
It's just very difficult. It's a very difficult situation, and I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so any other remarks? No? Look at us, done, almost done by 8. Yes.
It's one of the shortest meetings in history.
Bam, bam, bam. But I need a motion.
Good job.
I move we close the meeting, adjourn the meeting.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, John seconded. All right. Any discussion? Maybe not. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So thank you, John, to Laura, for reminding us that we will be seeing each other in 3 short weeks. I can't believe you said that. But my heart kind of jumped. Like, what? But that's okay. So
Less time for applications to come in.
that's right. That's right.
Right, that's true.
Okay. Well, then you guys all have used this time wisely, and I will see everyone in 3 weeks.
Thank you. Good seeing
Bye, all.
everyone. Good
Sounds
seeing
good.
everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye, all.
Good night.